Hey lovelies, welcome to MovieFlix. I'm really excited to tell you about this amazing romantic movie produced by the talented Omoni Oboli and starring our favorite actors, Eso Dyke and Uche Montana. So the scene started with two couples lying on the same bed in a room, and from the look of things they have had sex, but the lady screamed, "What's going on here? What's going on here? Today is my wedding day, what?" Meet Helen, the bride-to-be, and Charles, a multimillionaire who happens to have mistaken Helen for a call girl. But wait, how did Helen get into his bed? Apparently, Helen was drunk and slept and walked into his room the night before her wedding, which was Helen's bachelorette night. Now let's go back to the first scene. Charles was still shocked. He said, "What are you talking about? What do you mean that you are getting married today? Stop the pretense because you truly enjoy this night." Helen still couldn't believe her eyes and the magnitude of the mess she is in. She dressed up to escape only to meet her fiancé and soon-to-be husband. "You know what that means, you can read the writings on the wall." Helen followed him to explain to him what happened that night. "I don't know what happened. Please listen to me," he replied. "You are a haul, leave me alone." She came back to the hotel room to confront Charles, who was still in shock and trying to figure out what really happened. He explained to her that he doesn't know what really happened and that it's his reserved hotel room. He came to ask the manager about the call girl he booked. The manager told him that the call girl for that night went back because he didn't respond. Realization dawned on him and he now fully understood the whole situation. We see Helen question his supposed bridesmaid and best friend about the whole situation, which she denied bluntly. Helen was in shock as to how all the girls who were with her couldn't keep an eye on her that night, knowing that she was with her most trusted friends. Mel claimed she checked up on Helen the whole night and couldn't see her in the room. Charles was also chatting with his friend about the whole situation, and he promised to handle the situation to avoid bad publicity. Helen met Charles' lawyer Ezekiel whilst stepping down to go have some meeting. Ezekiel offered to give her 10 million naira for her to keep her mouth shut to avoid bad publicity, as such an event will cause the damage of Charles' business. Helen found out annoying and asked him to leave. Helen is going through her phone. She is questioning herself, and her friend Mel came around to console and assured her that she will be okay. Charles and his attorney friend were discussing about the current situation and how it will cost them their business. Charles suggested he will rather take the bull by the horn and calm the situation himself. Charles bumped into Helen's office. Helen, seeing him, became very angry and questioned his authority for being there. He replied, "I own this complex." Helen fumed and said, "I don't care if you own this building or own the whole of Lagos. The next time you bump into my office, I will not take it lightly with you." The scene unfolded and the arbitrator proceeded over the case. Each of them are making claims. Helen said Charles took advantage of her, while Charles claimed they are both victims of the situation to sleep with her. Charles recalled the incidents and remembered he walked into the room to find Helen lying down on his bed. Helen goes back to the workplace only to find out that the management are asking her to go on indefinite leave. She says that's unfair and that the job is the only thing keeping her going. Mel visit Helen once again. Both talk about the situation and Mel said society doesn't take sides with women, it's normal. Mel mockingly said that Ellen is taking things serious and that the guy involved, Charles, is very handsome, so she should stop dragging issues. Helen was very furious with her and excused her for some shots of alcohol. So the scene started with Helen running after her supposed-be husband, who shouted at her and called her a haul. Ezekiel was having a conversation with Charles regarding the allegations of Helen claiming he's a rapist. He then suggested a plan B and boom, we see a delivery guy delivering an expensive jewel to Helen. Helen showed the gift to Mel, who admired it and asked Helen to give him a chance. Charles showed up at Ellen's house and she didn't hesitate to throw his gift right to his face. The case was adjourned. The judge ruled that both were victims, and Charles, instead of being happy, he went on and on about his childhood memories and how similar incidents happened in the aunt. And just because they didn't have money they lost. Ezekiel asked him to forget about the
Lovelies,
incidents and
welcome to
apologize to
Movieflex.
Helen. I'm really
Helen
excited
wanted
to
to
tell
pay
you
the
about
friend
this
Mel a
amazing
surprise
romantic
visit, but
movie
she caught them
produced by the
red-handed
talented
in a
Omoni
compromising
Oboli
manner,
and
and
starring
then
Mel confessed to always loving his fiancée Helen left in disappointment and went to take some shorts at a bar. Charles appeared from nowhere to save her from go to his home,
welcome
left
to
and house, how to
Movieflex.
take her to the
I'm
hospital,
really
then
excited
only
to
to
tell
find
you
out
about
that
this
Helen is
amazing
pregnant.
romantic
Both
movie
sat down to
produced by
argue
the
about the
talented
paternity
Omoni
of the
Oboli
child.
and
Now
starring
Charles had asked Helen to get rid of the pregnancy, and Helen was telling her friend Imem how messy her life has been. Hey lovelies,
Charles also
welcome
conversing
to
with
Movieflex.
the friend
Ezekiel
I'm really
regarding
excited
the same
to tell
issue
you about
he said
this
he has to
amazing
be sure
romantic
about the
movie
paternity
produced by
of
the
the
talented
child early
Omoni
decides to
Oboli
have
and
an
starring
abortion, but the friend advised her against it. Helen confronted Mel about the night, but she denied knowing anything about it. So after some time, Charles now visited
lovelies,
Helen and offered
welcome
her
to
money to get
Movieflex.
rid of the child,
I'm
but
really
she
excited
declined.
to tell you about
We
this
see her
amazing
friend
romantic
Imem
movie produced
encouraging
by
her
the
to
talented
keep the
Omoni
pregnancy.
Oboli and starring
Charles showed up the next day feeling guilty for abandoning her. He brought a peace offering for which she later grabbed the gifts. Hey lovelies, Charles
welcome
and
to
attorney
Movieflex.
friend found out the whole
I'm really
truth
excited
and
to tell
invited
you
Helen
about this
and Imem
amazing
to have a
romantic
look at
movie
the video
produced by the
footage of what
talented
happened
Omoni
that
Oboli
night and starring our. It turns out that Mel orchestrated the whole incident, but Helen was not surprised considering a turn of events and how everything went on. Hey lovelies, Charles
welcome
found
to
Helen
Movieflex.
drinking herself to
I'm
stupor.
really
He
excited
wanted
to
take
tell
her
you
to the
about
house,
this
but
amazing
Helen
romantic
insists
movie
she
produced
prefers
by
her
the
own
talented
house.
Omoni
Charles
Oboli
bumped
and
into
starring
Helen's house unaware. She asked him to leave, but no. Stubborn Charles claimed he has authority over the baby and that the baby needs him. Hey lovelies,
Helen invited
welcome
Imem
to kick him out of a house.
I'm really
He stayed
excited to
adamant.
tell you
Ellen
about this amazing romantic
eventually
movie
gave up and
produced by
left
the
him to go
talented
take a
Omoni
nap.
Oboli and starring
Now the attorney friend teases Charles about how he has fallen in love with her, but he denied and says he wants to just be a good father to
Hey
the baby.
lovelies, welcome to
Helen
Movieflex.
heard a knock on her door.
I'm
and
really
went
excited to
open
tell you
only to
about this
find
amazing
Charles
romantic
carrying a
movie
bag.
produced by the talented
Helen
Omoni
asked him to
Oboli
leave
and
says they
starring
don't need him. Knowing how stubborn Charles is, he asked her to show him his room. Helen left him alone since she was tired of kicking him out. He left him to sleep on the couch. I'm really excited to tell you about this amazing romantic movie produced by the talented Omoni Oboli and starring our. Knowing how stubborn Charles is, he never left. He told Helen that he is never leaving. The following morning, romantic child in his daddy
Hey
duties
lovelies,
element
welcome to
breakfast in
Movieflex.
bed to his son.
I'm
to be
really
baby
excited
mama.
to tell
She
you about
blushed
this
and
amazing
failed good. The
romantic
next day,
movie
Helen
produced
was
by the
off to
talented
antenatal
Omoni
when Charles
Oboli and
offered to
starring
drop her and to go through the routine with her for the sake of their child. Charles is now giving Helen a massage of her life, both
Hey
giggling
lovelies,
together like
welcome
best
to
couples.
Movieflex.
What pregnancy
I'm
cannot
really
do does not
excited to tell
exist.
you
Helen
about
was
this
gisting
amazing
with her
romantic
friend.
movie produced by the
Imem
talented
said he
Omoni
seems to be
Oboli and
taking
starring
good
our.
care of you, from fighting him to loving him. Helen replied, love is sometimes war. Helen is seen the next day seated very disappointed, waiting as if waiting for someone anxiously. Where are you coming from? Why did you leave me in this house the whole day? Is that fair? Is that even fair? Charles replied, just say I miss you. Ellen said, I don't miss. Charles replied, I miss you too. They both kiss and continued in the other room. Charles and Helen was talking about how grateful they are that that night happened. Charles confessed his love to Helen. He confessed how he has loved Ellen from the get-go. Mel and Helen's ex-fiancé came to apologize to Helen, but she warned them never to step foot there again. Charles planned an intimate surprise proposal party for Ellen. It was only Ezekiel and Imem present. He knelt down to propose to Helen and she accepted to marry him. The end. Thanks for watching lovelies. Please subscribe to my channel.